So let's start at the beginning. What is sound deadening?
In our case, sound deadening acts as a shock absorber to dampen the vibrations that make your van metal. Most sound deadeners used in van builds are meant to stop the metal from rattling to prevent noise. This is mostly prevalent in older vehicles or when you're really going down a lot of bumpy roads. Van builders use this in their vans for a wide variety of reasons: to stop road noise, to stop wind noise, to be more stealth so people can't hear them from outside the vehicle if they're making a lot of noise, or so that they can sleep better and not hear people outside of the vehicle. However, every sound deadener is not actually able to do all of those things. I've come to realize in the last week, sound deadening is actually deeply misunderstood and simplified. And this is how what could have been a 20-minute task in my van build ended up being a deep spiral of research and trying to understand the best way to do sound deadening. Now, people have told me very valid and understandable reasons as to why they cover their entire vans, and people have told me very clear and valid reasons as to why they don't use any at all. And so we're gonna walk through all of these different viewpoints, and actually every single one of them comes from a professional van builder. So I thought it was very interesting that these are all of the people that we look up to and we really believe and trust their opinions, and they all have such different opinions. So as I always say, if the professionals can't agree on what the best way to do it is, you just gotta pick what you believe in your heart and just get back to building. So earlier last week, I was talking to one of my patrons, which this is, yes, absolutely a total shameless patron plug. We do live streams every single Sunday and you should join us. And we were discussing what he was going to do for sound deadening in his van build. I had less than 20% on my last van and it was perfectly fine. I didn't think about the sound once. Honestly, it kind of reminds me about how I talked about not putting insulation in your weep holes last week, and about how just because there's an empty space does not mean you need to fill it. It does not mean it's going to actually help you or make things better. I will put a photo here of how much sound deadening I used on my last van build, and I felt like it was perfect. When it came to road noise, I'm always blasting music anyway. Like, I can't hear anything. I will say a point that I probably do really appreciate the sound deadening that I don't think about it is during the rain, because the noise of rain on your roof actually is pretty loud. The moral of the story is I loved my sound deadening in my last van and I barely used any, so I've just been so confused as to why people feel the need to completely cover their vehicles and add that kind of weight to their build. And after my patron messaged me saying that they were going to cover their entire van, I was like, all right, we gotta settle this once and for all. I need to know. So I turned to Instagram, I put a poll on my stories, and I literally wrote the words, "Fight me." And now, honestly, I've been thinking I need to start Van Life Fight Club, where we just debate all these hot topics, because dang, did I get some good answers, and they were all over the entire board, and everyone had really good reasons. Right, so I didn't know if these people wanted me to say their names or not, to be honest. They're all pro builders in one way or another. I just don't want it to be like as if I'm making a video where I'm pitting them against each other. I'm not actually trying to start a fight club, but the first builder that I spoke with said that sound deadening can off-gas when the heat hits it, and the one that does that apparently is Rattle Trap, I believe, but I'm not sure if others do it as well. Also, lizard skin, which can also be used as sound deadening, is apparently also toxic. He also said that sound deadening can stop the shell of the van from having airflow and hence lead to rust. Also, if you get a leak, it can accumulate in the sound deadening like Kilmat and then lead to problems because it can't dry on its own. So that is why he actually does not use any sound deadening at all. So while installing the sound deadening, I had an idea that maybe I could use this Reflectix tape to seal up the sound deadening to stop the aforementioned potential moisture issue. What do you guys think? I haven't seen it done before, but it was just kind of a light bulb idea. Maybe it could solve the problem. I did receive a message from someone on Instagram saying the moisture issue may be with Kilmat and that other types may be better at handling that, but I haven't seen any proof yet. It's just something that I heard. Another builder actually said to me that using more than 30% is a scam. And it's actually something that I said in my original post, was that I felt like it was an overbuilding trap, a money waste. It felt like the companies had realized that they could make more money by convincing van builders that having more would do more. And it just felt like they were getting bigger sales because of it. So maybe they tried to trick people into doing this. It's kind of how I'd been seeing it for a while, honestly. He also talked to me about how this is a trade-off, because you're adding a lot of weight for what? Just a little less sound. So that is why that builder uses no more than 30%. But something that neither of the first two talked about was thermal bridging, which is something that, this is the part that blew my mind.
My mind is blown.
My original thought was people are covering their entire vans because they're just trying to make it quieter. They're using it as sound deadener. But actually, it can be used to create a thermal break and help regulate the temperature inside. I'm going to say his name because I'm going to highly encourage you, if you're at this stage or thinking about what you want to do, to go watch his video on his channel about thermal bridging, about the temperature difference that you can create by using Reflectix, Ice King.
Ice King? The Ice King? Ice King?
Or a sound deadener like Kilmat. In his video, he actually puts up all three and tests the temperature difference, and it's actually mind-blowing. It's like 8 or 9 degrees, and he explains all of that in his video, so you definitely go watch it if you're definitely like in the middle about what you want to do. My thought after watching the video was that the Reflectix was pretty close to the thermal bridging ability that the Kilmat had, but Reflectix is much lighter than Kilmat. So my thought after watching his video is, why not use Reflectix to create the thermal break over the Kilmat, because you would save a lot of weight. I don't know, that's just a thought based on the research and all of the videos and all the thoughts that have been spiraling in my mind. If you have a different point of view than all of the ones I've already discussed, I would love for you to put it in the comments and talk about it, explain why, because I think this video hopefully will be educational for people who are at this point in the van build. They can have as many opinions to be able to make the most educated opinion and guess they can, because at this point it is just a guess. Everyone's just doing their best, right? At the end of the day, I think I want the overall message of this video to be, everyone is going to do it differently, and there is no right or wrong. None of them are going to make your van blow up. If you add a little more weight but you feel better about the sound, about the thermal bridging, then great. Then do whatever is going to make you feel confident living in it afterwards. So right now we're actually going to do a bit of time traveling, because tomorrow morning we are going to actually go weigh the van. I know this was a big debate in my preparing for a van build video about if I was going to do it or not. So I've decided to do it tomorrow morning, as well as I will then install the sound deadening. Do you hear that? No. That's because it's not making any noise. It's so quiet already. I was going to record decibels of the vehicle while in motion, and honestly, it's already so quiet. I hear nothing. Nothing. So before weighing the van, I filled the tank to get an accurate read. A few people said I should weigh the van in the beginning of the build, even if I can just Google it or read it off the car sticker. So I listened, and here I am. I figured if I weighed it, then a lot more people would know if the number on the vehicle is accurate or not. So here I am as the group's guinea pig. So I have my results, but I don't care, because did you know when you get your vehicle weighed, it comes with trading cards? It's like Pokemon cards, but for getting your vehicle weighed. This is one of the few times being an adult is fun. I love it. I love it. I'm so happy. Anyway, I guess we should probably actually talk about the weight of the vehicle. All right, so when I Googled a 2019 Ram ProMaster 2500 159 wheelbase, I got that it was 4,644 pounds. And the CAT scale, the Certified Automated Truck Scale, in case you were wondering if there was just like a lot of cats underneath the scale, that would just be like, this weighs 5 pounds. That's not how it works. I know, I too am disappointed. Anyway, the gross weight of my vehicle is 5,060 pounds. That is absolutely disgusting. So gross weight was absolutely the right thing to call it. So now I can calculate how much weight my vehicle has left for me to build with, but as someone pointed out in my comments last week, just because that is the max does not mean you should let your vehicle weigh anything near that. These vehicles aren't meant to be driven as daily drivers, meant at their max capacity, so we're aiming for much lower than that, hopefully. So thank you, Stephen, for commenting about that. Anyway, on to the next thing. So I am supposed to be applying the sound deadener right now, but I tried to draw up a sketch of where I want to put it, and then I was like, that's too much. That's not enough. And my brain is just still spiraling. It just can't decide on what to do. And I think what I'm going to do maybe is apply a little and then kind of decide if I want to do more from there. I can always add more. I'm not going to put the walls up right now. I feel like whenever I'm ready to like do it, I find more information that sends me into like a spiral of, what is the proper way to do this? And it's so silly because it's just the sound deadener. And as I have said before, I don't feel like the sound deadener was that important of a thing in my last van. All right, Saying that was kind of like a wake-up call. I felt it. It was like in my own face being like, then why aren't you just freaking doing it? So here we go.
You don't need more information. You don't need more advice. You just need more courage. You just need to be brave. You know what you need to do, but you don't want to do it. And honestly, that's fine. Wait a few more years. Just let it crumble. It's easier that way.
Honestly, at this point, this scene is how I feel about Sound Deadener. I'm about ready to yeet it off a cliff. Okay. But alas, it is time. I personally chose to go with Kilmat. I don't know if that's the best choice or not, but that's what I went with. I bought 80 mil and 36 square feet, which ends up being way too much for how much I choose to personally use, but that's fine. Maybe I will test it out and decide if I want to apply more later on. It came with instructions, but unfortunately did not say how much to apply in advance. However, there were a few important notes from the instructions, and we'll walk through them together when I put Sound Deadener on my floor. So I am using the small blade here to quickly cut these into the shapes I want them in, and I'm laying them out on the floor and deciding how much I want and where. I debated on this for a long time and felt like I was both using too much and too little. Honestly, I just keep looking at this, thinking to myself, the pieces are too big, they're too small, there's too much in there, there's not enough, and I just keep going back and forth very indecisively, and I could be doing this all day honestly and tested out the road noise. There really is none, so it's not really gonna make a difference anyway. I'm pretty much just adding extra weight, so I'd rather go under than over, and I could go in spirals again. I could just spiral and spiral on this. So I think the design looks nice, and that's all that matters. I'm gonna say it looks good and move on. So step 1, I'm cleaning the area with rubbing alcohol so it has a clean surface to adhere to. When you apply this, you don't want to just rip the backing off, but do it in small sections so that you can press it on and eliminate the possibility of air bubbles so it has the best adhesion possible. This step is super important because, as we were talking about earlier, moisture can get into those kinds of sound deadeners and lead to rust, so do not rush this. And now you just roll it on until the design on top is gone and completely smooth. So it starts looking like this and should end looking like this. And here's the audio difference when I tap on the metal before and after sound deadening. I will say I regret not knocking with my fist. I think that made a difference, but here's what I have. I just want to reiterate, I'm not telling anyone to use this exact amount, just showing you how much I used and what I decided would work for me, and just some things that I learned along the way. When I posted this on Instagram a few days ago, I said the same thing in my video, but some people commented saying it was just totally wrong, and all those people were saying I should have covered 100%. I then defended my opinion, and in true fashion of social media, they tended to just laugh and repeat that I was wrong without giving me any real explanation as to back up their own point of view. I had a professional builder actually laugh at me and say that they thought it was satire. A builder who doesn't even use sound deadening at all. So not really sure how that was funny, but that's just part of, making videos and sharing what I'm doing. But here's what I have to say. Do whatever you want. Your van is no one else's. No one else has to live in it. No one else has to hear the maybe 1 decibel of noise you didn't cover or live with 10 pounds you decided to add to your van. So screw them. This is your build. You are clearly trying your best to learn as much as possible. I was honestly really hurt by how many people were trying to belittle me about my sound deadening choice, but then I remembered a scene from Ted Lasso.
And all of a sudden it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious. They thought they had everything all figured out, and so they judged everything, and they judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. Because if they were curious, they would ask questions.
None of those people were curious about why I chose to do what I did, and they weren't open to learning a new perspective or asking why. They just wanted to be judgmental and tell me I was wrong. So thank you to all of you who do believe in me and listen to my point of view and the things that I'm learning along the way. This van build is for us, for those who aren't pretending to be perfect or know everything, but are just excited to learn and create a community and help one another. Those are the people I want to surround myself with, and thank you for being a part of that.